All right, we will get this meeting started and we will open up with open session. We'll do roll call for commissioners. We'll start with folks in the room. Commissioner Miller
Commissioner Moore.
and online.
Commissioner Foster.
Commissioner Stout walking in.
Thank you. All right, and then we'll move for approval of the minutes from the May 14th, 2025 meeting. I'll make a motion for the approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Moore. All in favor, say aye.
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 Noah?
Don't do security. We can move that forward. Okay.
Minutes are approved from last meeting. And we will now go into commission calendar with Brandon Dorsey.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, going into our June calendar so far. On Monday, we have our physical agility, which will be at the Police Academy. Going for June 4th, the Denver Fire Department Lieutenant Multiple Choice Exam. On June 11th, we will have a Civil Service Commission meeting. And on June 19th, we will be observing Juneteenth and our offices will be closed. June 23rd, we have another physical ability at the Police Academy. And on June 25th, we will have another Civil Service Commission meeting. Going into July, we have the 4th of July, Independence Day, which our offices will be closed. Our Civil Service Commission meeting on July 9th. July 14th, we have another physical agility at the Police Academy. And then our DPD Police Sergeant Multiple Choice Exam. And closing off July, from July 21st to July 25th will be our Denver Fire Lieutenant Assessment Center. That does conclude our calendar for June and July. Dates are subject to change. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. All right, next item on the agenda is President Ford updates. I actually don't have any updates, so unless members have anything to add, we'll move on to our next item. All right, then we'll move to Executive Director report out, Gracie Perez.
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Next slide, please. So just an announcement, we have a new website content. We have now added the Executive Director report to our website. So if you go to the agency website, into the commission meeting, scroll down to the Executive Director reports, expand and select the report you wish to view. We just want to continue to find ways to remain transparent in our information. So all these will be updated every after the meeting so that everyone has access to it. Thank you. Next slide, please. Revisiting a previous conversation in November, the vendor recommended, when we met with the vendor for our post-conditional physical medical evaluation for police candidates, we received a recommendation from them to update our post-conditional physical med to include the human performance evaluation. It was indicated that this exam is utilized by other law enforcement agencies in the nation. Our current physical medical evaluation only includes range in motion for police. So that's a pretty basic exam. And so we really wanted to have further discussion, and the feedback that were gathered from risk management and even the department chief is that both supported conversations to update the current test to comparable nationwide and reduce risk of injury or re-injury in the academy if selected. So HPE is already utilized in the sheriff's department's post-conditional physical medical evaluation. For fire candidates, the post-conditional physical medical evaluation adheres to the National Fire Protection Association 1582 standard. So it's already pretty standardized. So risk management worked on identifying recommended updates if CSC, if the agency were to incorporate HPE. And again, just to reiterate, this piece of the testing is owned, the contract is owned by risk management. It is also paid for by risk management, not CSC. But obviously we own the administration of it. So on 5/19, CSC met with risk management to go over the recommendations, and police department was also represented at this meeting. Next slide, please. So then for the post-conditional evaluation recommendations, they had said, to keep the current range in motion test, but add HPE components. That includes the tasks listed on the right side. I know the texts are tiny, even with my eyeglasses, I can't read them, but it really has the lift, carry, pull only, push downward, climb, really sort of simulating what the applicants are going to go through, especially in the academy. So that is the recommendation, but PD and CSC had further questions on risk management. As part of our next steps, PD representative will discuss the recommendations with DPD leadership. And then risk management will get more information on available fall off data to aid in reviewing potential adverse impacts, because we don't want to make updates that inadvertently impact certain, population, but we want to be thoughtful about these updates to the post conditional medical evaluation for police applicants. And then regroup with 1 and 2 action items and identify processes for handling results to ensure that the agency and DPD information handoff also addresses reasonable accommodation, risk mitigation, and confidentiality. Because I think where we want to get to is a point where some of these post-conditional results, understanding what the role of reasonable accommodation and confidentiality is, but also transitioning some of that information as they enter the academy so that we can mitigate the risks that we've encountered in the past. And next, I think that concludes, sorry, to read. Okay, so any questions? Sorry, Brandon, go back to the previous slide, please.
Questions?
Yes.
Do we have a sense of how much more this would cost, this process?
No, that's part of some of the things, although we are not charged with paying for it, we want to be mindful.
And that was my next question. So the responsibility for payment comes from
Risk management, the city.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not for me.
Right, so obviously, if, after we complete the next steps, I'll circle back with updates. With the additional info. Good, you may not be able to see it, but one of the things is like lift 80 pounds or 84 pounds. And, that's one of the key things that we really wanted to sort of discuss a little bit further. Like, what is it? What is the purpose? Does it really simulate the academy training? And if so, like, are we risking fall offs inadvertently? So we want to be mindful. And then there's pieces where they lift 30 pounds. Well, is 30 pounds probably more reasonable at this stage than 84 pounds? Those type of things. All right.
So wait, when you say we think asking people to be able to lift like an 80-pound child might disadvantage a group of people?
No, we just want to see what the fall off rate on those currently using it. Like, does it, because right now we don't really see a lot of fall offs at the post conditional physical medical evaluation.
I wouldn't think so.
Right, so but what is that, like 84 pounds, like on those who already have experience administering the test, like what is that? I think just having that data, before if we do incorporate it, before implementation would be good for, like, anybody may be interested.
And, sorry, additional questions. So I guess the question I have is, so a vendor recommended this, and they said other agencies are doing this. Are we the only agency currently of major US cities that utilize our current medical evaluation?
I don't have that information. I do know that for specific to Denver, fire and sheriff are utilizing similar.
Okay, so I would definitely, and I'm sure this will be part of the evaluation. And I would also want to make sure that any vendors obviously don't have a relationship. So they're making recommendations towards something, but I would definitely want to know our peer cities nationwide. And then also other large agencies in the state, what they're currently doing if we're going to do this. And while I understand that piece of risk management in the budget, I do think something, I think there's a larger conversation, but if I understand the conversation recently about proposed potential budget cuts, my understanding is that some of the agencies, like from the safety side, will not be seeing those, but also I think it's important that agencies that support them, if they are taking cuts, like that will cut into safety at some level. And so understanding maybe this isn't out of our budget, it's still coming from a budget, if I understand, that will be cut. And so if we're talking about, let's say, hypothetically, it's doubling it in a time of belt tightening, I think that's something we also have to take into account.
Absolutely. All right, noted. Anything else?
Well, the only thing about that is if safety's not being cut, maybe we should stick our hands in there and say, well, maybe we shouldn't be cut since we got to support them.
So I have a lot of thoughts on that.
I know you do. I know you do.
All right. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. All right, on this piece, I'm going to turn it over to Dylan.
Thanks, Gracie. So just a quick piece from me here. So in our continued efforts towards recruiting an applicant pool that most accurately reflects the Denver community, the commission is planning to launch a dashboard on the commission website where community members can better engage with the work that we're doing on a quarterly and annual basis. In other words, looking to offer some additional transparency into the applicant pools for positions that we're recruiting for. So similar to Gracie's quarterly progress reports, the community members will be able to check in every 3 months for an updated glimpse into total applicant pools and fall offs at each hiring stage within the commission's recruitment processes. And as of right now, we're aiming to begin offering this beginning in Q3. But we wanted to offer a preview now for consideration and comments from our commissioners using data from Q1. Can you go to the next slide, please, Brandon? So there's about 4 slides covering all of this. These will all look relatively similar across the board. Here on the left-hand side, you'll see the data covering January through March for all first responder applicants. So that's police department entry-level applicants, fire department, and EMTs, and the stage of the hiring process at which anyone is falling off if they're not making it to the final offer stage. And then on the right-hand side, you'll just see the total cumulative applicant pool for all of those combined applicant populations. Next slide, please, Brandon.
Well, why don't you just really quickly tell us what those slides say?
So on the left-hand side, you're seeing where applicants are dropping out throughout the recruitment process. So on the far left, you'll see stage 1 application. That means that anyone that's falling off at that stage is falling out due to not meeting minimum qualifications, for the position that they've applied for. So again, this particular slide covers all of the entry-level applicants for Q1 for the police department, fire department, and EMT applicants. So then in stage 2, that's our NTN testing level. Anyone that's falling off there is largely falling off due to not scheduling the test, or in some cases, simply not passing. Stage 3 is our behavioral health questionnaire, and then so on and so forth. So we're just looking at the demographic information based on where each of our applicants are falling out. And then on the bottom left, you're seeing that same information, but represented by gender rather than race or ethnicity. So then on the right-hand side, we're just looking at the total composition of our applicant pools. And so you'll see in the top right, the breakdown based on race and ethnicity, and then in the bottom right, based on gender.
Hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I just couldn't see that far away.
Of course. Brandon, can we go to the next slide, please? Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go. So this is the same information, but particularly for our fire department entry-level applicants. And then Brandon, next slide, please. And then that same information specifically for our EMT applicants. And again, I'm just calling attention to, this is data specifically from Q1. So covering January 1st through March 31st. So at this time, I'll just open the floor for any comments from our commissioners that can be directed to either Gracie or myself. Before we move on to Ally.
Are we concerned about any of these data? Are we concerned about any of them? Anything that's concerning about it?
I don't find anything to be concerning about it at this time, but I'm happy to pass it over to Gracie if she'd like to offer any additional commentary.
From some of the meetings I've had with community members, I think they're interested sort of in our fall off rate, and then what stages are they falling off? And also sort of the correlation between our population for our applicant versus the fall offs. And so we wanted to find a way, and it has been a request to have some sort of community facing dashboard. So we want to find information that is relevant to them, that is also, that we can provide on a quarterly basis, and then a cumulative version of it annually. So we're looking for guidance. If you have any, maybe can think of any additional information that you want us to include in this community facing dashboard. It'll be live on our website, and refreshed quarterly.
Good,
Or,
thanks.
or if you think we can start here, and then, depending on community feedback down the line, we can always improve on it.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere, so start. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry. I clearly had a bunch of caffeine before that, so I didn't talk much. Apologies in advance. Yeah, love the concept of dashboard. I always think, and I wonder if we can partner with other departments, because I do worry sometimes that I don't think the broader community has a great sense of where our job begins and where it ends and how it connects with other agencies. So I would think it's doing as much as possible so that if I'm a member of the public and I'm searching for data, let's say on police, that I have the ability to get to that very quickly.
right.
I also did I did some kind of looking at other dashboards around the country, and I looked one that and I do think this is a really important space for community engagement, because I think that we should do the community engagement now on this rather than like put it out there and then get the feedback. I think it's easier to do. You're the dashboard guy, so I guess I'll defer to you on that. But I think that it makes sense, and we have members of the community here, other folks. I think we should do actual outreach though, to make sure that if there are things that are reflected or not reflected here that should be, that we do that now. One thing that I don't think I see, and I'm looking actually at the New Jersey law enforcement Department of Law and Public Safety, their dashboard, which includes, and this is not all of us, right, but it includes data on officers, all in one place, data on officer demographics and things like that. Because I also think that that's an important piece. Like, I have a lot of concerns about current demographic makeup of, and I don't think that I don't want a member of the public to have to go like and search everything and try to go somewhere as much as possible. And so they, in this example, and happy to send this link around too. But essentially it has information on the officers, the same information on the officers in one spot, a tab that has on applicants, similar information, also has age ranges as well. And it has information, the next tab about promotions, agency practices, officer table, which I don't know what that means, but I'm sure if I clicked on it, I could probably find out. But I think having that in kind of one space, and it's an opportunity for partnership. Essentially, I guess the one I see that I don't see, and it also has a bigger breakdown, I think, like applicant outcomes, and like in a more like there's like 10, and it is not apples to apples, I understand, of course, but there is, I think, and I know we have many of these qualifications and disqualifications as well, but there's a bunch of those there. So I think that's one that we could add some small things into.
Well, let's just send that around, that'd be helpful.
Yes, please.
I think on the applicant outcome, we are also at a stage, we just recently concluded looking at and reviewing all of our outcomes choices so that we can be more consistent in those choices and therefore generate a more straightforward data versus having to generate the data, you have to keep cleaning it up because you have different choices. Well, they all mean the same, right? For example, a did not schedule task versus a did not take the test or share the score. So those were two choices we used to have. So I think it is one of those intent that we really want to clean up those choices so that we can be consistent and therefore our data can have more integrity to it. And I think what do you call that? Dylan, sorry. Dylan is also collaborating very early stages, but really collaborating with the safety data person as well. Because I do agree with you, we need to have continuity of data. Many people have to fish for all the information every which way. So having that, even if it's just, you know, a link to here, so people
Yeah.
know, even if we can't display, because we're two different entities, so the likelihood of us displaying all of our data in one go may be a challenge in the early stages, but starting to kind of connect our data points will be great.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so this is still a prototype. We just wanted to kind of circle to you for feedback. Thank you, Dylan. And thank you, team. All right, next slide, please. And this time I turn it over to Ellie.
Okay, so one of the projects we've been working on is redesigning our informational booklets for our positions. So this is kind of what they look like before. We have the page lengths here. So we have our entry level fire police, that was combined with lateral, and entry level. And so we wanted to really split that up today, in these booklets, so that every candidate would know exactly what their requirements are easily. So now we have split up lateral and entry level. We cut them down. I think it's like an average of 16 pages per booklet. Police was cut down a lot. You can find these on our website. Brandon, if you want to go to the next slide.
Can you print those out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, so you can find them on our website. If you want to go next slide, Brandon, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna do a live walkthrough, but recreating these booklets really just gave us a chance to make sure all of our information was correct, visually appealing, and everything aligns with our brand guide. So that's our main thing. And then, so this you can find through the Civil Service Commission, the job postings, then you can scroll down. There is, Brandon, if you want to go on police officer. So you just click on those booklets. And so we revised, one of the key changes other than the formatting and brand guides was updating the language. So we wanted to update that to match the reading level we expect from our candidates. So that it's easier to understand. Brandon, if you want to go on page 5. Scroll down. Keep going. It's trouble for testing. Okay, perfect. So we have most of our applicants live outside the city and county of Denver, and we have a significant number of people who are out of state. And so this section, travel for testing, was added to our new booklets to help candidates understand what they need to come in for testing and when. And we also, if you can see up there right above, travel for testing, we have equipment and costs. We wanted in this booklet to be very transparent with any fees or costs associated with the academy or testing, so that nobody's blindsided on that. And we also updated, Brandon, if you want to scroll up just a tiny bit. Okay, so these links, I know it's a little hard to see from across the room. We did embedded in-text links, so it's a little easier to read digitally. But we also have reference numbers in the superscript, so that if they print booklet, they can still get access to that website by using those. And then, Brandon, if you want to go down to the very end, it's like page 18 of the booklet. Keep going. Okay, here we go. So this was another big change. We put our disqualifying factors and reapplication periods in a table, so it's easy to reference. They're broken down by category. So we have criminal history, traffic and driving violations and everything. So that candidates can easily see when or if they can reapply for the job. And putting it in this format actually cut it down from 10 pages to 5 pages. So that's nice. So super easy to use. This is, yeah, so this is our booklet, same format for all of our questions. Anyone have any questions?
And I just want to highlight, you like probably read the drafts like what, 5 times each graph? And then twice over, so it was a lot of work. They made it look easy, but it was a lot of work for the team. But again, we wanted a review of all the content. And so we also want to encourage all of our stakeholders, instead of posting this document in their website, to leverage the link, so that we can make sure that all candidates always have the accurate information. Because what we find sometimes is a candidate may reference information in an outdated document because it is posted in a stakeholder's website, but we've already updated ours. And we try to be mindful to notify our partners when updates are being made, but sometimes even within their agency website, they might have the document posted in several spots, and we may have caught only a couple spots. So we really want to encourage everyone to leverage linking to the website, so you always have the most recent information.
What would you characterize as the information that you got? Was it just more of like consolidating, or what was
It
cut
was
out of there?
a lot of consolidating, so just changing the format to bullet points, cutting out unnecessary words, just change things. It was really fluffy and legal, which is awesome. But by making it a little more digestible to our everyday people, they cut out a lot of those extra words. Same content, just more concise.
And then we also copied a lot of, like, we want to educate folks to leverage looking at the rules sections of the website versus copying and pasting the rules from the rules section into the information booklet. The intent of the information booklet is a supplement to the rules to explain the process better. Because we want to train folks that rules are guiding principles.
What is the reading level we expect of applicants?
Yeah, well, so we have an education requirement of change. Our booklet, when I ran it through our little software, it came out of the 9th grade, a little over 9th grade.
Your software that checks.
Oh, yeah, you can do like the reading level. I just wanted to make sure we were on.
Thank you.
All right, and that concludes the executive director report for this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, all.
All right, we'll go to promotional update. Jeanette Brown in person.
In person. So today we completed the exercise building for Denver Fire Lieutenant promotional process. We move on to next week's testing period. Multiple choice exam on the 4th, and we should be posting scores for those who passed, at a 70% cutoff score that was pre-established before they took the test. So this will be a new process. We'll see how well they do with that. We have 96 candidates as of today, but we are expecting to lose about 15 to 20 candidates by testing day. So, and police is moving right along. Usually they're a lot quicker. I'm not sure why. I think that because they come prepared with, this is what we want to do, and fire, when they work on their promotional exams, they kind of go back and forth about what they would like to see. So it takes a little bit longer. So that's the report for today. Any questions? You guys mind just giving them a heads up that we have an open.
Sorry, thank you.
They may.
I was sorry if I looked distracted. It was just a little bit.
It's okay.
You do.
Is it the testing?
The maintenance folks,
Oh,
Just close the door.
we can't, it's an open meeting.
who's the most?
So open meeting, they can't open this door.
No, the door, when it's a,
Well, we could open this door and.
Okay.
Close that.
well, I don't know, the rules change all the time, so why don't you tell us?
Close the door, correct? Close open meeting. Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
open. People can come in. City council closes the door.
Yeah,
It's symbolic value.
you know what, it's just been ingrained
Close the door. Yeah.
that we have to leave it open.
I'm sorry if we looked a little bit distracted.
That's okay.
It was trying to hear
There
you.
was not a lot to the promotional process, except for the lieutenant exam is June 4th, and we intend to post scores a week after.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, we will move to fire and EMT entry level. Stephanie Riddles.
Good afternoon. The 25-1 EMT process has been completed. One individual was recently hired from this process, which leaves us with 54 candidates on the eligible register. For the entry level process, we currently have 173 in the process. And just as a reminder from, I think it was mentioned at the last commission meeting, no academies are scheduled for entry level fire this year. So we are building the eligible register for the 2026 academies. And that's it for fire.
Thank you. All right, and then police entry level update in Lewis.
Good afternoon, everybody. For the upcoming 25 year, I'm gonna work backwards for the 25 to July 17th Academy. We currently have 23 candidates that are in conditional offer, and that 23 includes 1 lateral. And then there are 8 people or candidates that have been given a final job offer. For the open continuous application, there are currently 218 candidates in that pool. That's it for police.
Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move into commission review of candidates. You want to go folks in the room and then Steve online, or you want Steve to start? Steve will start the voting. I just want to give Steve a heads up on it.
Yeah.
Ally, so you can hear Steve.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. All right, you're gonna be the one who starts us off on each candidate. So after Ally reads the candidate, you start, and then we'll go along just in the order that these are.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Ready to go?
Are we ready? Everybody have their votes?
Yes.
Okay.
Candidate 2866345.
Pass.
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 Candidate 293105.
Pass.
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 Fail.
Candidate 33988. Oh,
Pa-
change.
Pass.
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 Fail.
Candidate 322823.
Pass.
Pass.
Fail.
Fail.
Candidate 302601.
Fail.
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 Started.
Candidate 318615.
Fail.
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 Candidate 220079.
fail,
Fail.
Fail.
Point of information from last conversation last month. I wanted to raise a point on the background check. Should I do a hold? Should I just spill out those thoughts later?
Confidential information, specific confirmation, specific information related to the background report, we will hold an executive session.
Candidate 227405.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 342151.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 355327.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 360209.
fail,
Fail.
Oh, I'm sorry, fail.
Fail.
Candidate 323045.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 336489.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 351785.
fail,
Fail.
Fail.
I would like to vote.
Candidate 156103.
fail,
Fail.
Fail.
Candidate 342207.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 340318.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 352372.
fail,
Fail.
Fail.
Holds.
Candidate 357893.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 349211.
fail,
Fail.
Fail.
Candidate 348809.
fail,
Fail.
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 Candidate 334148.
fail,
Fail.
Fail.
Candidate 342950.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 320368.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 277865.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 335851.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 323020.
pass,
And fail.
Yeah, I had a lean. Could we, I'll put a hold on this one.
Hold.
Candidate 272720.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 229716.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 341150.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 343444.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 343657.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 220723.
pass,
Pass.
Pass.
Candidate 297880.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 319750.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 337284.
pass,
Pass.
Pass.
Candidate 338331.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 42166.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 83202.
pass,
Fail.
Pass.
Candidate 309492.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 125874.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 232165.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 26333.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 334039.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 220531.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 275127.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 308589.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 40353.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 168780.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 139756.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 139756.
Oh.
Let's hold this one.
Cool.
The second one. I'll confirm that. I need.
Moving on to candidate 328793.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 132555.
pass,
Pass.
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 Candidate 339034.
pass,
Pass.
Candidate 243408.
pass,
Pass.
Candidate 106514.
pass,
Oh, pass. Sorry.
Pass.
Pass.
Candidate 350112.
pass,
Pass.
I need to hold.
Hold.
Going back to the candidate we skipped, it's candidate 343460.
So it is that person though?
Yeah, LB.
Yeah, okay,
Yes, yeah.
okay.
Commissioner Foster?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it in my. Do I have it in my email or where do I have that? Is it in this list?
Yeah, we can hold this candidate
Yeah.
to make sure.
We'll just hold it for executive session so we can reference it accurately.
Okay.
All right.
We do a tally at the end?
No.
No.
All right, that was a marathon. Thank you all. You all are the ones who are processing all of that. So really appreciate all the work to get new candidates through. All right, with that, we'll go to item number 10, which is comments from the public. As a reminder, we keep our comments, we do our rules just like city council, where we do 3 minutes. We just ask folks to state their name and give their comments. I'll open it up.
Alrighty, well then I'll go ahead and speak in. I came to this meeting last month with a letter from a collective body of individuals that are concerned about the patterns of leadership in this commission, at the board level, at the executive director level, and then also the conflict of interest that we are seeing with the mayoral's office. We spoke boldly, and I believe each of you requested that you get a copy of that letter that was written. And in that letter, it referenced that there were some demands that we were making to open up the channel of communication. That's what it's for. It's not to come into all of a sudden essentially attack anyone. It's opening up a portal of communication. Sadly enough, every time community comes, or oftentimes community comes to bodies or entities or individuals that have some type of engagement in our civil services, and community is seen as the problem because we are asking questions. And it's indicative in no one responding back, or no one even saying, hey, we got the information and we are going to ensure that we accept the invitation of communication. Silence is not an option when you are representing community. Yet that's all we've heard from this board is silence. And so when we extend an invitation to engage with you thoughtfully, and you make the choice to ignore through your silence, you make yourself irrelevant. At this point, now the community doesn't want to hear from you. We will take the next steps to ensure that we get the answers that we seek. And if it doesn't include you, that is your decision, because you had an opportunity. So why we continue as a society as a whole to make it seem like community is the problem when we are trying to engage, I'll never understand. This is a reflection of grace. This is a reflection of the community saying that we are concerned, we are vested. We are happy to celebrate you when you're doing it right. But that isn't what you should sign up for this job for. Don't sign up for a pat on the back. Be affirmed by doing the work. That's where you get your affirmation from. And so when community says, hey, we're hurting, we're concerned, we're curious, that's an extension of a hand. If it's uncomfortable, so be it. Let it be uncomfortable, because that's how we grow. If we were only seeking comfort, then I can assure you we wouldn't need a policing system to begin with. So you all have chosen to stay silent. Why, I'll never understand, but you've made yourself irrelevant. So now we are going to seek someone, or which body will actually listen, and our narrative to them is going to be how you received us. That is going to be our narrative to ensure that they understand what this leadership body is doing with community. Because it takes nothing to say, we got it. We are going to lean in. Here's a timeline. Is this something that we can compromise? This might be a little bit too tight of a deadline, so we're going to push in and we're going. There's been nothing. Now imagine for a second that you have a loved one that has been brutalized by this policing system, that has been killed by this policing system, or that continues to have the traumas of the trust that was never created by this policing system. Imagine having that type of vested interest, and you go to something called the Civil Service Commission Board, which is supposed to be an independent entity from these systems that seemingly continue to harm you. So now it feels like you're going to your neighbor to say, neighbor, can you see me? And your neighbor ignores you. That's what you're doing to the community. You are making a choice to ignore the tears, the sadness, the pain, the loss, the children that are not being raised by their provider. That's who you're ignoring. And yet you come to this meeting and you keep going performative after performative after performative. And I don't think that you all are finding yourselves uncomfortable at all at the fact that you've ignored the community. We'll never know. Because again, you've made yourself irrelevant. So the narrative behind your leadership has already been written. That is what I showed up for, is to let you know that you are now irrelevant to the resolution that we will get. And somebody, believe me, somebody, even if there's only two, are going to retell this story. And I know their names. My grandchildren will know what I did in this time. They'll get to say, my Ma Bell, this is what she did. Your lineage is going to have to decide for themselves what they say you did. Because at least two people are going to know that we came to you and you decided to ignore us. Because again, what that's communicating is that we're the problem. Shame on the community for coming and saying this is what we see. Shame on the community for trying to extend our hand to say, let's have a conversation. Shame on us, right? That's what I get to take back to the community. Gracie, Noah, Amber, Greg, Steve, the other members that are not here, those are the names that will be called when this story is retold. That is not unfortunate for me. That is unfortunate for you. But ignoring us does not make us go away. We just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Because interestingly enough, there were some people that trusted that you all were going to engage. A large body of people. That's not the reality. And that's what they get to sit with.
Thank you. Are there other comments from the public? All right. Before we move into our executive session that we have set, we do actually have a response that we had drafted and we're working on to get to. So I have the team printed for you, and if you guys could sit down. Thanks. We do apologize for its belatedness. We're just working.
You can pass that right back to her. Thank you.
All right, we'll move into it. we'll move into executive session.
Oh, you got this.
Yeah.
And one. Yeah.
All right. Do
I have to motion back into open session?
But we were supposed to motion into executive session too.
You're fine, that's not doing that.
All right.
Okay.
Brianna,
Yeah.
we'll start with first page.
Okay.
Candidate 220079. Commissioner Moore,
079 220079. Fail.
Fail.
next page. Candidate 351785. Commissioner Moore.
785. Fail.
Fail.
Pass.
Next one, candidate 352372.
Fail.
Pass.
Next page, please. Candidate 323020.
Fail.
Pass.
Now, wait, so what?
I will hold.
Well, I could pass this and then the person would pass, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll pass.
Okay,
Three passes.
three passes. Okay, candidate 83202.
So just to be clear, you are moving to pass each of these candidates
Commissioner Moore changed his vote from failed to
on the
pass.
election, right? So,
And this is 83202.
Mhm.
Pass.
Pass.
Okay, and on the last page, candidate 350112.
Oh, it's this one?
Yeah.
No, what's the
It's
number
the
again?
last, it's the last one.
What's the number again?
350112.
Oh,
It's the last one.
Okay,
okay.
pass.
Pass.
All right, and that one candidate is skipped, 343460 LB.
Pass.
Pass.
Thank you, commissioners.
Great.
Thank you, Director.
I'd like to make a motion, to end session. Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.